Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Homesteading channel. If this is the first time you're visiting with us, we want to extend to you a very warm welcome and invite you to view any of our over 650 videos arranged for your convenience in playlists, as we are confident you're going to find something both useful and entertaining to watch. If you've been here before, welcome back. If today is your birthday, happy birthday! So today we're going to tackle another shutter repurposing project for two reasons. First of all, we have built in the past a lamp, and we want to make a little bookcase or display case to match that, right? Mm-hmm. And the other reason is we have it, and wood prices and everything prices are just out of this world right now.
Crazy.
So we want to build with what we have, get rid of things that we have in the shop so we have more space, etc. So multiple reasons. So we start with a pair of shutters. Actually, it is not two shutters, it's one.
These are actually bifold shutter doors,
which we bought many months ago, actually.
Yep.
So it has been enough.
We had a different thought in mind when we bought them, but they've just been sitting here in the shop, and we really need to put them to good use.
We need them to not be sitting here anymore.
That too.
So we are going to start by taking the hardware off. Because it is a bifold door, it has hinges on this side.
Hinges.
And we need to remove this knobby. Mm-hmm. Knobby, you like that?
Knobby, yeah. And there's also some things sticking out of the top that would keep it in a track.
So we start by doing these preliminary things, and then we'll move on. So today we're going to build this bookcase using nothing but what we have in our shop. So we're going to raid our scrap bin here, and we're going to use a pair of shutters that we already had with shutter doors. So we're going to cut them. I guess you could use them the full length too, wouldn't you? It would be a much taller.
Yeah, you could.
And for what Mrs. Wizard wanted, she wanted a shorter one. She didn't really want a big one. So stick around, and as always, we're going to show you every step of the way, how we build it. I can tell you that we use all kinds of material on this build. We use every kind of wood we had on the shop, and we use at least 3 kinds of screws, right? We use normal wood screws, we use pocket screws, and we use cabinet screws. So we were all over the place. We use a little bit of creative idea with a drill from the Craig jig, without using all the jig, just using the drill, to create a little bit of a better way to hide the screws, and you're going to see that as you watch the video. So stick around, and we're going to show you everything you need to know on how you can build something like that yourself. So we'll start by removing the track guides. Clearly we don't need them. And clearly this is easier said than done. Right? Mm-hmm. I might have to cut them, I don't know, they don't seem to want to come out.
Here it comes. It's coming. Okay, grab it by the base now. There you go. Come on out, you.
Riveting YouTubing here.
Well, it is what it is. Gotta do it.
And these are the things that you actually have this door, they always come off by themselves.
Right.
Alright, so we'll take this out as well, and we'll be right back with you. So our next step is to remove the pull, because we don't need it. It will not be opening and closing. And apparently it helps if you have the right orientation, right?
And we heard the knob drop off onto the floor, so that part's gone. Now the screw fell off. Okay, so the last thing
will be the hinges. So
yeah, the hinges are over here.
I'll turn it over.
We've got top, middle, and bottom to take off.
And hinges are always good to have anyway, so usually we keep them, right?
Yeah, these would not exactly fit in the box of beautiful things, but they would be handy for another project.
Now for our purposes, Mrs. Wizard wants to keep this color, or you're going to paint it?
No, I'm going to paint it for sure. It's a little beat up. It probably needs some cleaning, and then a nice coat of paint to match the lamp that we built would be my preference.
Okay. So as they are now, they're just too tall. We don't need them as tall, and the best place to cut them is right here where we have the... It is not middle exactly, but it is approximately midpoint. So we're going to cut it here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the best tool to use for this is the track saw, because the table saw just is not safe to handle something that it is this long, especially our table saw, because it's not a very big base table saw.
Right.
So we have put a insulation underneath to protect the table saw from potentially the blade going too deep.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want that. We don't want the deep blade. So we're going to set the track and hope for the best.
And we're going to cut them at the same time, so we've clamped them together at exactly flush on the ends, so that we can...
and that's what gives us the best cut, actually.
Yeah, one single cut instead of two.
Okay. So here is the dimension that we're going to use, and this is the piece we are not going to use. And I'm sure we're going to find something to use this with, right?
Oh yeah, we'll find something.
There is always a use for solders. So now we're going to clean this a little bit and start working on the details. So we are trying to make this with scrap, no visit to the box store today. And this width is just short for us.
Yeah, a couple of inches.
So we found another piece of scrap, and we are going to extend the width.
And it's exactly the same thickness.
And similar wood.
Yep.
And we're going to put that towards the end, in the back, right? So it will be okay.
Yep.
It will not be visible at all. So the first order is to cut this piece the same dimension as this piece, right?
Right, and this is going to be the bottom shelf or the base of the unit.
So we'll do that and we'll get right back with you. One bottom. So we made our cut, and this is about as big a piece I want to cut on the table, so I don't want to go anything bigger than that. So now we have to extend this, and for that we are going to use Miss Wizard's favorite things, biscuits. Yes?
Yep,
Okay.
just right.
All right, we'll be right back.
Nope, nope, nope. Nope.
You sure?
Hold on. Okay.
3 biscuits will be plenty for this dimension. And now we are going to do the same on the big piece, and then we're going to assemble, right?
Yep.
So with our biscuit slots cut, we're ready to do the glue up. And the way you do that is you put glue inside the slots you made, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it is easier to put the glue on this one, put the glue on this one, you know.
It is easier.
And then just glue on the other piece on the inside the slots, right? Yeah. The way this works is that the glue makes the biscuits swell and also locks them in there and makes for a very good bond. So now we're going to put the biscuits on. I don't know if you want to use the clamps. One of the good things about biscuits is that it gives you a little space if you want to align it right and left if it is not perfect, but you're going to use the clamps?
Yeah.
I'm sure there is a lot of glue underneath, but that's okay. If you go where a biscuit is, it will make sure that it will not come apart.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just trying to get this open wide enough first.
And if you're not satisfied with your joint, of course you can always do a little bit of sanding, which Mrs. Wizard loves doing, right?
Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with a lot of sanding.
Now when you align biscuit joints, you know, you need to align the marks when you did, because that's how it references on the top surface, right? Otherwise it might not be perfectly flush. And we will show you the bottom, and it may or not be perfectly flush, but it is not exactly in the middle. The biscuit slot is not exactly in the middle. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to reference the correct side. You can put it here.
I just want to wipe it off first.
Is it different on the bottom, or it? I mean, it looks good in both sides, I think. But
it does look good. I think that I have. Yeah. Clean that up. I think I have the clamps slightly too tight.
That's okay. You cannot have them too tight. Why do you think that?
Because it's bowing a little bit.
All right. We'll release them a little bit. Yeah, either. But now it opened. Because our next cut will be plywood, we're going to change from a rough cut blade, which is what we have in the saw now, to a fine tooth blade, which is this blade here that has 80 teeth. So we go to a substantially nicer, well, I don't want to say nicer, it's not a nicer blade, finer blade.
More precise.
And you cannot avoid 100% of the chip out on plywood, but this does a better job. At least that's what I think. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. When you reattach the blade, make sure it is secure. You don't have to go crazy on it, but it needs to be tight enough that you're not risking getting the blade coming loose, right?
Yeah.
And that should do it. Again, continue with the theme of having to use only what we have in the saw. We're going to build the top using 2 different pieces, and again, biscuit joints, right?
Right.
And this will give us a nice, what do you call it, a very nice edge.
Oh yeah. And I do plan to stain this, so it'll be a little bit farmhouse style, so this wood is perfect for that.
And it's already a composite wood, so there are more connections, so our connections will not be as bad, right?
Oh yeah.
This was already purchased as smaller pieces of lumber put together to make a wider piece, which we end up cutting for our purpose, right?
Right.
And now we're making it bigger.
Yeah, and we're using every scrap of the pieces that we bought.
Right. I mean, the shop always has more things than more material than you can imagine sometimes, right? All you have to do is look around and find ways. Again, we're going to biscuit join this, and we're going to be right back with you.
So now, what I've done is I've taken the shelves, these are the two lower shelves, as well as the top that I sanded just a little bit to give it a softness on the edge and to make sure that our joinery is completely smooth. And then of course, my favorite stain, the espresso, went on for the bottom, which will hold the unit together at the bottom. So that's a shelf. And then the top, of course, it's the most beautiful grain. Absolutely love what the stain does to this. And this is going to be the top, and we've made it slightly bigger than what the unit itself will be from the sides down, just so there will be a little bit of a reveal, and it will be really beautiful once we get this put together. So the next step for us is to spray paint our shutters. They're going to be white in the farm style, of course. What else? So they're pretty dingy right now. They need a little cleaning and a good coat of white paint. However, we are out of white spray paint, so we're going to go to the store and get some while the stain dries. We've got our fans on, and it's going to be nice and dry by the time we get back.
So here we are, we have our, what will be the bottom shelf, right? Mm-hmm. And we have it upside down because we are making a little platform that it will sit on. And this is the perfect project to use pocket screws, right? Yep. This will never be visible. They are strong. We put glue, and with the pocket screws, this will be very, very secure. It's not going to go anywhere. And here we're using scraps. You might even see that the wood is not the same species, right? Right. This is poplar, and this is pine.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter.
No.
These will all not be visible, these pieces, but the front, we did have a piece that we painted that will match the sides of the piece.
And we will show you that. Just we're waiting for the paint to dry. So this will provide a little bit of a raising of the piece, makes it a little bit taller, and give it a little more detail, right? Mm-hmm. Will also give us good surfaces to attach the sides.
Right.
So we are going to move right on. So we are using our cracked drill bit in an unconventional way. We have put it very, very close to the edge, as you can see, because we are making a little recess for our screws when we attach ourselves and our top, to allow the screws to be hidden and also have the appropriate amount of connection to the other piece.
Right. We didn't want to go too deep because we're dealing with some fairly small pieces. So we couldn't use the traditional way of drilling pocket screws, so we're just making our own depth with the guide. Yeah, it's not really a pocket, it's just a straightforward. Right. It is a down screw, not a pocket screw. Anyway, so we're waiting for a couple of pieces to finish drying, and we're going to show you the next steps. Ready? Mm-hmm. So again, pocket screws are the ideal fastener for this. That will never be visible. If you need to make any adjustments in the middle, now it's the time. If it is bowing or anything. No, I don't think so. It's pretty straight.
All right.
Okay.
That's all, folks.
So that's the front skirt for the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the bottom. So we flip this over and that's on the floor.
Okay.
And then the sides will attach.
Yep.
To here.
Okay.
All right. So we are going through our scraps fast. This is the biggest piece of scrap we're using for this project, and this gives you the general idea. This is how high and how wide the piece will be, right? So the only thing you don't see now is the depth.
Right.
But this is bigger than I envisioned it when we started. But now we are about ready to start assembly, right, ladies?
Yep, just about.
It is amazing. We really haven't bought anything but paint for this project.
Right.
So it's amazing what you can find in your shop. Now again, we use 3 different species of wood, all kinds of different thicknesses, you know.
But you're making it work.
Well,
Which is the
hopefully.
whole point, right?
We're not done yet, but yeah. We will.
It's going to work, I'm saying.
All right, so we're going to move on and make things happen.
Yep.
And
Looks
this,
awesome.
by the way, it is so because there is a top, right? So we didn't cut
Right.
it incorrectly, just...
Right, so that allows for the top that will
Top
be.
to sit
Yep.
right here and butt up against it.
Yep.
All right, awesome. We'll set up for the next
paint
part.
studio again.
One of them.
One of the advantages of having a shop in the woods is that you have space around you, right?
Right.
And we are, cringingly on my part, painting the plywood white.
Right, and I agree. This is some beautiful grain on the plywood, but for this project, it makes sense to paint it because otherwise the whole project will end up being too dark, and that's not what you want here. And we got very creative to be able to set this up and make sure it stays in place. There's some ridges on this recycle bin, and we're making use of the ridges to hold the board in place.
Nothing but state-of-the-art equipment here at the...
Right. Again, just being creative.
Well, hopefully that will dry quickly.
Yeah.
We'll seep in quickly. My arm gets tired.
Yeah. It's a lot of back and forth, especially because you want to do, light coats to make sure that it doesn't run.
But it's better than holding the little knob with your fingers.
Oh, for sure. So,
So we've set the 2 shutters that effectively will be the sides of our bookcase next to each other. So when we attach the supports for the shelves, we're going to be in the same spot without having to measure anything, right? That's a little bit of a trick. The 2 outsides are going to be the fronts. So we want to be flush with the back and have a little bit of space in the front. Just gives a nice little reveal, right?
and again, I wasn't here for this part, but you guys started off and you made sure to mark, I don't know if this is going to show it, but we do have an F to show front, and we also have an arrow to show directionality. So this is helping to make sure that we have these lined up correctly. And the reason for that is because you want your shutters to have the same direction, not one being upside down.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to turn this around because the screw will be hidden next. We'll be missing the... Thank you. So let's get that.
Because of the placement of the drill hole, you want to make sure, yeah, that makes more sense because then you're going to get the meat of the
So
outside
this is the
edge.
same way.
Okay.
Well, then I painted the wrong ends of these because I painted the ends that I thought were the right ones and they weren't.
That's okay. We'll retouch them anyway.
All right.
Let's make sure that we have meat where we have the screws. That's the important.
I think this one may need to be flipped as well.
That one's crooked. I don't like that.
And again, what we just did was to make sure that where these holes that were drilled for the screws actually are going to hit enough meat so that they're not going down into the side of this. So there's plenty of meat here, and by meat we're talking about the body of wood to make sure that it's going to grab that and not split it.
All right.
Okay.
So we're going to start the attachment. And now we're going to use the square to make sure on that side. These people, so the square there, the square there. And it looks good to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay. So that's nice and sturdy.
I'm going to start with this one.
So what we're doing, if you put the one screw in, the whole piece can pivot, so you can square it that way, right? You don't need to go both sides and square it, because
As long as you have the pieces lined up with the other one
Right.
that is square, then you know that one, the first one's going to be all right.
right, it cannot only be square on one side. If it is square, it is square, right? All
Did
right.
it lift?
No, it's fine. It's
Okay.
good.
Okay, so
So when it to the top,
there's the supports all together. All right, so now we're ready to install the top edge supports that are going to go, they go flush with the top edge, and they're attached to each of the sides. And then as you can see, there are additional pilot holes there that were drilled, and that is what is going to hold the top for this piece in place.
so while this is not the biggest piece we've ever built, there was a lot of thought on how to assemble it, right?
And again, they're being flush with the
What is the back in essence?
back edge
And the top.
and the top, yes.
Now, if the sides were actually stained, I would have used dowels through, so you could see the dowel as a detail. But when it's painted, that doesn't look as good.
Well, it's a waste of your effort when they're painted, because then you don't see the detail, right?
Well, you will see two holes, that's why it doesn't look as good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so now we are attaching the bottom to the sides, lining up. This first one is already in place. It is lined up perfectly flush here and with the back. Doing the same on the other side.
And we're using cabinet screws here, because this is in essence a cabinet, right? I mean,
Yes.
cabinets and bookcases are the same things.
Okay.
Always double check that you're flush here, because it does move a little bit. I think we're okay, but okay. And I'm going to put just another one on each side, just for
Strength, because
giggles.
this is a bookshelf. We want it to stay together. Okay. No worries.
Sorry, I'm not sure what it is.
You're just at an angle. There you
I
go.
have to do it.
You're going backwards. That's why.
Ooh.
That would do it. In the other case, when you look at something in furniture and see writings, this is our pad, right? I mean, in areas we are not, they are not visible, we write things.
That was our measurements. Okay, so on to the next step.
So here is the piece. We have put the top and the bottom on, and of course the sides. We have the supports for the shelves. And the next step will be to put a little, it's not a skirt really, because it's on top. A
Well-
little reveal, or
Yeah, it's like a top skirt reveal that just overhangs.
so we're going to do that next. And in order to attach that, we'll have to turn it over.
Yeah.
This is the front of the piece. We have to turn it over to the back.
Okay.
Well, friends, here is our finished product, and we might do a couple of more details. I haven't decided yet, but it is totally usable the way it is now, right? Lessons learned. Wait until the white paint is completely dry.
Yeah.
In order for us to finish the filming, we had to rush a little bit, and that of course generated more work. But you know, give it enough drying time, and I think this is the key for this project. Cut the pieces, paint them, stain them the way you want to do. Now this piece of course could be all paint, right? I mean, not like if it is a kid's thing, can be different colors like yellow and red, and you know,
Blue. Yeah.
all kinds of things. It could be all stained if you wanted to, or it could be all paint. We kind of became fond of this dual, the stain and white paint.
Yep.
We've kind of adopted that.
You like the farmhouse style.
Well, it doesn't have to be like that to be farmhouse. It could be green, for example, is very common for farmhouse. It doesn't have to be white. So, in any case, what else we learned? This is a project that requires a little more detail than initially thought. We had to think carefully how we're going to attach the cleats, and we had, of course, a challenge that we were shooting not to buy anything from the store, right? So that was a big challenge. So everything you see here are different types of wood, everything that was in our shop, and we were successful in doing that. So our effective cost was zero. We didn't spend anything for this project. And we have another set of these if we want to make a second set.
Yeah.
If you remember in the beginning, we cut they were very tall, and we cut them in half. We did use more tools than I thought we would, like in this specific project. And overall, we are happy with the way it turned out. We do hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, we'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you didn't, the other button works as well. Share, like, subscribe, and let us know what else you might want to see in the channel in future weeks. Also, make sure to like and leave a comment if you want to be entered in our giveaway. From Dr. Wizard, Mrs. Wizard, Elpida, and the Urban Homesteading channel, stay safe, wash your hands, get vaccinated, so we're going to see you soon in the channel. Stay safe, friends.